It's recording.
It's recording. Yay! Ignore my thumb.
Hopefully that works.
Hi guys, I'm RAD RACH, and I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey.
So she goes by MissWickedRed on her channel, so you guys should check her out. She's got an OF. Go subscribe.
I'm just kidding.
So we're both in the fitness industry. Kelsey has actually competed before. And so we're going to go over, some things that we think beginners should be on the lookout for, as well as questions people have asked us in the past of, just starting out, some very simple, basic questions. And we're going to try and go over answers from us being in the industry, what we've dealt with, and kind of things like that.
From the beginning.
Okay, so one of the most frequently asked questions, which I know a lot of fitness trainers get, is a lot about food stuff and nutrition. And that's a huge topic because obviously there's nutritionists and dietitians out there. And those are the people you should really pay attention to, not just Instagram influencers.
Yeah. You get blessed with good genes and tell you what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They already have the butt, so they don't need to work for it as hard. But
right.
No shame to them. Hey, they look good. It's no shame, no hate, but you should try and, look for reputable sources of where you're getting your information from. So one of the most commonly asked questions, which I know we both dealt with the same, is eating food every couple hours or eating small meals every couple hours for your metabolism's sake. Go ahead.
I was told it keeps your metabolism burning faster, it keeps it going, doesn't slow it down. Because you're continuously making it work by eating every couple hours, which is a myth.
Yeah.
It's not proven
False.
at all. If they could prove that one day, that'd be great, but they don't. And it got into a mindset for me where because I was losing weight and it was working, I thought that was part of what worked. And there's a lot of things when you first get into the industry and people throw these bro science attacks on you. And they do work because you're in a calorie deficit and you're being more strict and you're working out.
You're paying attention to what you're eating.
Right. You get set on this is what works, so it has to be done this way. And I got into that. But it's literally down to how many calories you're eating. It doesn't matter if you eat them all in the morning and want to starve yourself the rest of the day, or want to have a big meal at night and only snack during the middle of the day. Mm-hmm. It's literally down to how much you're putting in versus how much you're burning.
I'm saying it sounds so simple, and I know people have talked about it before, but it is something to look out for. So you need to pay attention to what you're eating, and that's where a lot of the tracking apps come into play. And then there's a downside of that. They can get dangerous because then you're paying so much attention and nitpicking everything that you eat that you don't actually get to sometimes enjoy, the spoils of life, going out, to dinner, going out with family and friends, or you're being so restrictive on yourself that it just starts becoming a really unhealthy mindset. So paying attention to what you eat, especially in the beginning, is something that'll definitely help you. It's a good, rhythm to get into. But, again, take it slow, start small. Don't just try and completely change your diet out of nowhere because of something you heard online.
And simple things, if you're a soda drinker, say I'm gonna have 2 less sodas today, and then be proud of that. I have a hard time with that myself, little achievements. I'm always that's not enough, that wasn't good enough, I could have done better. So I'm still struggling with that as well, but be proud of little things that you cut out. If you're into soda, high calorie, diet sodas, just taking 2 of those out a week or 3 of those out a week, that's a major amount of calories and sugar just being cut out.
Exactly. And through certain tracking apps, you can look that stuff up. You can look up the nutritional content of it online too, through the different soda companies if you really want to. But just kind of finding out what's in your food and what you're eating. Same thing with eating out. I know, especially in the American culture, going through drive-thrus, really, it's cheaper a lot of the time. So they say that's where they get you. But depending on how much you're buying, it's not always cheap. And if you're eating out all the time, it's not always cheap. but they're very high, super high fat and sugary foods that you're putting in your body, and you're like, oh, well, it's chicken. Well, no, it's chicken nuggets that are breaded, covered in
Deep
sauce.
fried.
Yeah, exactly. Covered in oil.
Dipped in ranch.
Yep.
All this stuff.
Along with the giant large soda, and it all adds up. So just start, kind of paying attention to what you're eating. If you can, try and eat out a little bit less. And like Kelsey said, just try and do that once or twice a week where you're eating out and cutting it down from there and figuring out what works for you, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. And
another thing I did as I got more knowledgeable about it is I would actually find stuff I liked to eat out, even like desserts types, and I would Google healthy recipes and just learn to make them at home. And yeah, they're not going to taste exactly like they would at a restaurant or a fast food place, but there are ways to make healthy food taste really good. I mean, I used to make lemon bars out of all healthy ingredients, less sugar, coconut oil, all this stuff that are lower in calories, and tasted great. So. Exactly. And then on top of that too, don't shame yourself when you are going out. If you decide to splurge and have a dessert, that's another mental thing you need to try to get over, is not completely hating yourself when you go home. Right. Be okay and be like, okay, hey, I did that. Now we're going on to the next day, and, start fresh and start, thinking, healthier and what you're going to eat the next day. Right. And accept it too. Like, don't push under the rug that I just ate a whole pizza. Be like, I did this today. It's okay. Tomorrow it can be better. Mm-hmm. And as you go on, you'll, like we said, find what works for you. And, sometimes when you have pizza, you'll get to a point maybe where you can just have a couple slices or one slice or whatnot, depending on the situation. You're okay. Or make your own. I've made whole wheat pita bread, little tiny ones that are filling with my own low-fat cheese, chicken. I use straight tomato paste or tomato sauce because it's almost no calories. It's a vegetable. It's a good way to get your vegetable in. Mm-hmm. And just bake them in the oven. And it's small enough serving that I don't feel like I'm starving, but I'm not shoving stuff in my face. A whole pizza down your throat with wings, because you're not normally probably just going to get just a pizza by itself. There's usually other stuff, especially if you're around other people, or a lot of the times the dynamic is family-wise. And I know I dealt with that. No shame to my family. I love them to death, but we didn't have the best eating habits. They still don't have the best eating habits, something they're working on, but it's easy to kind of get caught up in that, like, oh, I want this, I want that. So it's like, okay, you get the pizza and the breadstick and the cookie pie thing. Right. So and it happens. 2-liter Coke. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the stuff was just kind of taught to us, and unfortunately, it's fast, easy. It's sometimes cheaper, or it's advertised as being cheaper. But you got to find out what works for you. And a lot of people that have never focused on health, they don't know how bad that was one thing as a trainer I learned. People would be like, oh, well, it says no added sugar, so that means it's healthy. And I'm like, what? Yeah. No. So you'll get around family members that have no idea what healthy is. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, well, you ate good all week, so just eat all these wings and pizza and this soda and you'll be fine, because it's just one day. Yeah. Which, to a point, I get, but I think it's better if you split that up. If I have a slice of pizza on Tuesday, and then maybe on Friday I'll have a drink with my friends, instead of all strict all week, and then I just totally binge all weekend out on the weekends. Which is normal. I would say that's another thing in fitness we've both experienced with clientele. It's other than the mental aspect we talked about, coming back from the weekend and be like, oh, I feel like crap, I ate terrible all weekend. As if you're not totally starving yourself and being so completely strict. I mean, if you're in a competition and you're on a specific diet, that's something different. But as normal, everyday human beings, most people aren't going to be on such a strict diet. Right. And if you are, then you may not even be eating enough, and that's why you're so absolutely starving by the weekend, and then it's just you want to shovel everything in your face. Right. And then you totally blow up and go way over what a normal caloric day would be for you. Ruined all your work that you just put in. And then you're like, well, I'm eating healthy all week. It's like, well, you're doing so much damage on the weekends, it's basically negating everything you did throughout the week. So, yeah. It's really simple. It is. It's true. It's a simple recipe. It's just putting in that work and doing your own research, finding out what works for you. So another question we get asked often
is, can I eat at night? There's a big, huge fear and stigma of eating late at night. And I love food, so I will always say, yes, you can eat at night, because 9 times out of 10, it's just been a myth that's been around to scare people.
Right.
So, in certain situations, like with my family, my dad, a lot of the times when he was working, won't eat throughout the day, so he'll come home, but he'll eat so much at night, and then same thing. Some semi-binge a lot of the time, where he'd, have cookies and candy and snack until like 11:30 at night. Which, no, of course that's not healthy. But eating later on, your body's not necessarily gonna know, right. Oh, it's 11 p.m. We should probably stop eating now.
Everything slows down. It's not how that works.
Exactly.
The whole body is still working all the time.
And it's got to process throughout the night. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you'd be dead. And there's a problem there. But yeah, you can still eat at night. It's okay.
Carbs after dark.
Carbs after dark.
It, again, literally comes down to, as tedious as it might be, it's kind of just tracking and being mindful of how much you're eating in 24 hours. I even know people that if they know they're going to go to a wedding or something, they'll save calories for the end of the week. You can do it by week if you want to do it that way. If you want to have a high calorie day and then a low calorie day, you can break it up that way. But it doesn't matter what the time of day it is.
Exactly.
The only thing I can say about eating a lot late, it can, because your digestive system is working, it can actually help you stay awake. Like, your body's not more of a restful state, so it will keep you up at night.
Yeah. And too, depending on the person, again, some people don't do well eating late at night because of that reason. Either they're awake or they ate something that is upsetting their stomach, especially if it's something greasy and heavy like that. So a lot of times that's going to kind of screw with your insides, and it's not going to feel very comfortable when you try to go to bed. So again, we're not saying you can only eat salad at night. Make sure you eat your food, but try and do it in a way that works for you, where you get your food in before you go to bed, but it's not right before you hit the pillow, or you're not eating in bed. That's a good habit.
Well, and the thing with eating in bed, what happens, because I've done this, is you mindlessly eat. You're on your phone scrolling, eating popcorn, and you don't realize how much chips you've eaten until half the bag is gone, or how many cookies or popcorn or whatever it is you're snacking on.
And that's another thing is fullness. I say that's a big, I feel like, not even debate, but just something that's talked about a lot, that there's such a misconception of, you said I need to decrease my calories, so then people cut it down so low that their body is like starving. It's they're not developing muscle because their body's eating away at the tissue, because it needs something to sustain itself. So our bodies do need food. There's a reason behind eating and having proper nutrition, but making sure that you get that kind of proper nutrition in. Because again, you're going to probably I've done that many times where I've gone to bed too hungry because I haven't eaten enough, or I did a lot that day where I expended plenty of energy and I didn't refuel correctly. So then I'm up in the middle of the night thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm starving.
Yeah. Yep. So it goes both ways.
Exactly. Righty. So a couple questions for in the gym. One more food question. Sorry. Can you drink alcohol is another one. And that's a big, I feel like, almost stigma. A lot of people say, oh, well, and I used to say it as a trainer when I first started. I used to tell people, oh, yeah, you can't drink anymore. And I'm not a big drinker. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. But you can. Just, again, being mindful.
Right. And alcohol calories are higher than not everything else. Fat is the highest. It's 9 calories per gram. Alcohol is 7. So it is going to be higher than your carbs and your fat. So you have to just take that into play. If you want to have a drinking night, you're going to want to watch the calories before you go do that, because you're going to want to save those calories for drinking. But they are, per gram, there are more calories than protein and carbohydrates. So again, it's just down to tracking. Like, I'll look at stuff like skinny margaritas or light beers, or those like White Claws are 70 calories or something like that. And that's, the number one thing is to check is protein in your diet, but overall you're not going to get fat from having too many carbs or having too little carbs or only carbs or whatever. If you have too much of anything, it's too much.
Yeah.
So if you choose to have a night where, again, you're going to a wedding or something like that, it just comes down to tracking calories throughout the week, knowing you have this much to expend at the end of the week.
And then especially, too, for something like that, being in that mindset of, okay, you know, I kind of understand I've eaten better throughout the week. I can do this weekend. Not taking it overboard to where you're, like, completely overdoing it and binging. But not being so nitpicky either, where you're on your phone, like, trying to track and figure out what your meal is at the wedding. It's like, you need to be able to enjoy yourself. When it comes with practice, and I say it comes over time, it comes with practice, you'll kind of be able to look at things a little differently, kind of understand more of the nutritional aspects of the different foods that are around you. And the more you can control in your own home setting and stuff like that, it should make it a lot easier. I know that's something that helped me when I moved out. I do my own grocery shopping, so if we get bad stuff, it's because I put it in the basket. If we get good stuff, it's because I put it in the basket. So, you know, trying to stay on the more fruit, veggies. I love chicken. I could eat chicken all the time. Fish, lean meat, lean meats. We still eat steak. I mean, we're not, you know, on any specific dietary restrictions, other than my husband is lactose and he still eats cheese. So he deals with that pain. That's
his choice. That's the whole thing about fitness. It's a choice. That's the biggest thing is people want to blame and point fingers and my trainer's doing something wrong or this workout didn't work for me or this chicken didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But it's all comes down to the big picture is your choices that you make. Mm-hmm. It's really that simple.
It's true. It's true. And, you know, there's plenty of outside sources that are making revenue off of these new ideas or this new diet or this new workout. I mean, if you're able to stick to the basics, that's really what's probably going to work the best for 90.
If people are trying to sell you something, don't listen to it.
Yeah.
I've stopped following chicks that I used to really look up to and were motivated by because now their whole Instagram is like, just buy these pants and buy this
buy my waist trainer
and buy my waist trainer. That doesn't work because I work my ass off, but I'm going to act like this trainer does all of it for me. Like,
right.
If they start just selling all kinds of shit, there are a couple people I would buy their books or something like that where they're actually trying to teach you to be better.
Yeah.
They're not
show
using
you the ways.
Fancy I don't know, pills or supplements or fancy bang drinks and stuff. I mean, I drink my Monsters, but they don't even have commercials, so you know, whatever. They're trying to get that way. But there comes a point where like I've stopped following a lot of girls because everything they were promoting was BS.
Yeah.
And I know that now with the knowledge that I have, and I've been in the fitness industry for 10 years. So, you learn the hard way with some of this. Just like if you start a business, anything, you're gonna fail and you're gonna have to start over and try again. Nobody's body is the same. So like she's got someone that's lactose intolerant, so he can't eat what you might be able to eat, and what's going to affect him. Dairy is not bad for you. Yeah. If you get low fat dairy or low skim dairy, all that stuff, it's not bad for you if you're not allergic to it.
Exactly.
It's definitely an experiment with what your body likes. There are going to be some foods that bloat you.
Yeah.
There's going to be some foods that make you still feel super hungry. Like that's just. It's an experiment, but it does come down to calories. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people is figuring out what their calorie maintenance and deficit is. There are people out there that have calculators, or I think there are ways to do the math on it, and that's easy to look up on the internet. And at least just have a starting point. And and you have to stick to it for like at least 3 weeks. Because if you stay for a week and be like, I didn't lose any weight.
It's not just going to happen like that,
no,
unfortunately.
Your body's got to adjust. Your body's got to adjust to it. And if you've yo-yo dieted a lot, or you eat a lot like during the weekend and then try to cut like only 800 calories every day during the week, your body's going to be all over the place. And it's going to take time to get to a normal. I had a point where when I was going to school and working, I was only eating like 1,000 calories a day, and I didn't mean to. It just worked out that way because I was busy all the time. So I actually upped my calories by 300, and I started losing weight. Yeah. And I was like, what? This is crazy, but my body needed it, and it was leveling itself out. So it's finding a calorie amount, sticking to it, and experimenting from there, whether you need more or less. You'll feel it in your mood. if you're tired all the time.
Yeah.
There's actually a point to, like, where it'll affect your sex drive, like, all this stuff. You'll know. I mean, you know your body more than anybody else.
Right.
So you start at a starting point. Scales lie, but if you want to use a scale, keep a scale and use only that one. Start with that one. It doesn't...
Leave it in the same spot. Don't go moving it around.
Yeah, don't do that. And don't believe any other scale. Just use that one because that's the one that you're going to start with.
Yeah.
So, and then I have also heard, which I believe in this, you're not going to go day to day by a scale. Like, oh, today I lost a pound and then tomorrow I'm going to gain 2 pounds. You're going to compare if you start on February 1st, you want to compare your March 1st.
Yeah.
Those 2 days by each other and see how much you've lost. You can get on the scale once a month. If you hate the scale, don't get on it at all. Look in the mirror. Measure yourself. Use your pants.
I do that a lot with my clientele because I know just with people that I've been around, the scale can be very negative. And you can, especially if you feel different, if your waist is cinching in, whatever it is, you're gaining more muscle, etc. People will still focus on the number on the scale and like, oh, it went up. And that can be for so many reasons. It doesn't mean you automatically gain 5 pounds of fat if it went up by 5 pounds. Right. Could be bloating that day. For us women, it could be that time of the month. All kinds
of hormones.
Yeah, it could be, maybe you just ate a big meal. Yeah, stress. You're retaining more water because you had a lot of salt. I mean, it could be so much different stuff. So, again, I'm not the biggest fan of the scale, but if it's something that works for you, try it. And like Kelsey said, give it 4 weeks. And go back for the first, give it 4 weeks, see what changes. Right. And I like to do pictures with clients or have you, try on an outfit, keep that outfit. So, again, the next month, try it on, see how it fits a little bit differently. Right. Because essentially, you want to feel good in your body no matter what your goal is. And you want to feel confident. And by, seeing those changes, feeling those changes, you're going to automatically start to feel better.
Yep. And that's like the key in it. It's how you feel internally will keep you going.
Exactly. And then you can start setting things like, weighted goals in the gym. So things like us, like we're both trying to get up our squat and our bench because we love leg day. So that's, that's our goal. That's not everybody's goal, but that's what we'd like to do. And me personally, I'd love to be able to deadlift over my body weight. I can't yet, still. It is what it is, and it sucks. But, I say so. I have the tools to know exactly what I need to do and where I need to start. So that's another question we'll get into right after. Is things like cardio. So that's a big question we both have gotten many times. That's how I initially started too. Was I started in a boot camp. So the question is, should I just be doing cardio, or how can cardio help as I'm trying to lose weight? So for me, I started in a boot camp, and I loved it. And there was elements of cardio and weightlifting. And for me, I just enjoyed the group setting because I didn't know what I was doing. I needed help. I mean, there were people next to me that were twice my age, and I saw them lifting. I was like, that's awesome. I want to be able to do that so bad. And I tried really hard my first day and almost made myself throw up. So I took it way too far. But, so cardio-wise, I always suggest implementing some sort of cardio for your heart health. But I personally hate cardio. Like, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of... I don't like running. I'll do sprints, but I don't like long-distance running. I'm not a big fan of cycling. That's my husband. He likes doing that stuff. Other than that, like, one of my favorite forms of cardio is boxing and jiu-jitsu. So I really like those, but again, I can't do those
there are
as
different
much
forms of cardio too. Mm-hmm. You don't need to kill yourself on a treadmill or Stairmaster or running around your block a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. HIIT's probably one of my favorite because you go really hard for a minute to 30 seconds to a minute, and then you get to take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Boxing's awesome. It's a kick out, and that works all your whole body.
Yeah.
Too.
It works so many different muscles. It can help you build up your arms and your back if that's what you're looking for. And it's just nice sometimes to let that aggression out and hit something. And, obviously it's better if it's not a person. 9 times out of 10. But as for starting with cardio, I know that is a huge misconception because so many people are like, well, I'll lose weight faster if I start with cardio, if I start running, or if I start this, or if I start that. But
the thing with working out and cardio, if you're eating too much, it don't matter how hard you're working out. And you don't need cardio to lose weight if you're eating in a deficit. It helps. You can eat more if you're working out and doing cardio. The more you're working, the more you get to eat, even in a deficit. But it's not necessary. I know a lot of fitness people that their cardio is walking on the Stairmaster for 30 minutes, like twice or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then they do like to get a big one I like is just a walk. Go on a walk. The 10,000 steps a day thing is actually a pretty legit thing I like to do. So
yeah.
And it's that simple.
Exactly. And if that's all you can do, especially if you're someone who has, kids or you're, working from home, things like that right now, being able to just go outside for a little bit, I mean, that's good for your body no matter what, because you're outside, you're getting fresh air, you're out in the sun, hopefully. I mean, we're lucky here in California, but
yeah.
But just being able to get outside just a little bit is just really, really good for you.
It's a good, me time moment, too, for me, just like a suggestion. I put on, a podcast I want to listen to in my headphones, or, I'll listen to a YouTube video that I've been needing to, if you're in school, you can put on your lecture in your headphone and just walk. And it's actually really, to me, it's really peaceful. I even go at night sometimes. Music, of course, so it can be kind of a time to de-stress as well.
Exactly. And if you kind of don't know where to start with something like that. It's easy, it's free, and it's something that'll get you going. So as you get more in tune with that and your body gets used to that, you can start to step it up from there. Because, going out and just spending money to get into a gym may not necessarily be the right thing for you. And you kind of have to figure out for your work lifestyle, for your at-home lifestyle, whatever you do, you got to figure out what works for you.
The basics.
Again, the basics. Let's see, what's our other question? Rep ranges in the gym. So people a lot of the time ask us, what rep ranges should I do? How will you take this one, Kelsey?
It depends on goals. If you're starting out, since we're doing mostly a basic video this round, if you're starting out, 3 sets of 12 to 15 is the basic. You can push that to 4 if you're feeling okay. It's going to be more about volume and intensity, but that is the next step to worry about if you're new to a gym or new to lifting weights at all. The basics is 3 sets of 15. You're going to want a weight that near the end of the 12 to 15 reps, you're feeling it, but not so much that you're going to collapse and you need a spotter. Even when you're just starting out, even just a good burn, you'll be sore from that. You're gonna be working muscles that you're not used to working if you're new to it. But that's pretty much the basics. If you're doing more of a circuit training, time is usually about a minute. If you want to do it that way, do something for a minute and then take a break. A minute, take a break. I like to kind of do the circuits where I do a squat, and then we'll switch to a lunge, and we'll do 1 set of that for 15, and we do kind of 3 different exercises, and then we'll rest and do it again. And you can always do that so you don't get bored of something. But the basics to start with is 3 sets to 12 to 15, and you want the weight where it is going to be a little tough near the end. If every rep is easy all the way to the end, then up it.
Up your weight.
There's no reason to have an ego at the gym and look like you can push all this weight and it's a piece of cake. Nobody cares. Nobody's looking at you. They care about themselves.
They're paying attention to themselves in the mirror. Yeah. And maybe their form.
Right.
Or whatever they're listening to.
So that's the sweet spot, is having enough of tension where you feel it, but your form isn't going crazy and you're not going to drop the weight on yourself or pass out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you get up to more advanced levels is when you can work with a spotter or work on really pushing that. But you start to know your weaknesses and know your limits. But the basics is that sweet spot of a burn, but not to where you can't lift it at all.
And there's no set rep range for a certain person. I mean, if you want to lift heavier and do less weights, go for it. If you can't lift heavy yet, don't try to completely overdo it. And there's a balance. Again, you got to listen to your body and see what works for you, because you're not going to progress if you just keep doing the same weights over and over and over again. That'll work for a certain amount of time when you first start. But if you, like Kelsey said, write it down, keep track of it.
Take a picture of the weight in your phone. Like,
exactly.
Real quick.
Exactly. And then, start to bump it up within the next couple weeks or so, next couple sessions. You got to kind of feel out what works for you, because if you just stay at the same weights, you're not going to go anywhere. If you go too hard, you could completely injure yourself.
Right.
And that's just not
a big
fun.
deal. You actually, if you can't keep form, lower the weight. I don't care if the weight seems easy. If you can't keep the form, if you get hurt, you can't work out at all. So
exactly.
Form is huge. And if you're not doing proper form, it goes down to posture. I have issues with my wrist from hurting myself one time in the gym still. It comes down to, I work 8 hours standing like this doing hair. So there are things that, even just lifting, my body just naturally, I don't mean to, but my form can get kind of out of whack because of the way I'm at, standing all day.
Mm-hmm.
So form will be first over the weight, the heaviness of the weight, and then next will be the burn of the weight.
Yeah,
I would say. And then that's when you can get more advanced, because once your form is good, actually with a good form, you can push more weight once you get there.
Exactly. And you're going to be able to do it correctly and up your weight, instead of, like we said, completely hurting yourself or tearing something or ending up needing surgery, God forbid. But
right.
You could do some serious damage if you, aren't paying attention and you don't have the right form. And so researching and finding the correct form for whatever exercises you're doing is really important. Maybe speak with a trainer, a certified actual trainer, like either of us, and actually, find out what works for you. And again, if it's someone who's able to adapt it for you, because people have injuries, people already have injuries, or they have issues that they are dealing with right now. Like we were both talking about, she's got her wrist injuries. I injured my back. So, I can't all of a sudden just start going and deadlift weight like I want to. I'm going to need to work back up to that and, strengthen all the muscles that it takes to get there. So working with someone who knows what they're talking about is really going to help too, because even if you just ask them a couple questions, it's a good starting point of, okay, how do I exactly do this? Watch a couple videos, try it out. You can either film yourself or work in a mirror, something like that, whatever you can do to make it work for you. But getting that form down is super important, we tell everyone start that from the beginning, because if you start with messed up form, it's going to throw a lot of stuff off.
Yeah, because then you'll have a stronger, your body will just do that on its own. You'll notice it when you work out. You have a stronger arm, a stronger leg, a stronger butt cheek. You just know that one side burns more than the other, or you can push more on the other side. So it comes down to also that, you'll just have a dominant stance or a dominant form that takes over naturally. I have problems with that, with activating my back when I'm doing rows. My traps like to take over because I'm like this all day at work, so my traps are active a lot, so they're the dominant muscle group. When I'm doing rows, I tend to do like this, when I stress, I hold my weight here, so you'll just start to notice that kind of thing, and form will make it worse. When I was competing, I would have trainers stop doing shrugs, stop training your traps, and I'm like, I don't train traps. I'm a chick. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But my work, part of that, and I'm just dominant there. So you want to fix those in the beginning. They're much easier to fix and get your form correct in the beginning when you're just starting out than it is later on. And then another thing that made me think of is, no, you don't have to change it up every week.
Yeah.
You can do the same squats every week if you want to. You can do deadlifts every week if you want to. It's not about your body getting used to the exercise. Your body gets used to the weight.
Yeah.
So if you want to do squats every week, you want to do deadlifts every week, you want to do curls every week, you can do that. You literally do the same workout Mondays and Mondays. Every once a week, do that workout, next whatever. You do the same splits. It's literally about upping your weight. Mm-hmm. That's all it comes to. It's not getting used to an exercise. It's getting used to the amount of weight you're pushing.
And another thing too is, depending on your body, and if you have things like injuries and stuff like that. I've got a client that I work with where when she's doing deadlifts, she can usually feel it on one side, but she can't with the other. And because she has a lower back problem, we can't do heavy deadlifts. So instead I'll have her do a different exercise that engages those same muscles. That way it works for her. She's still able to work out her glutes and her hamstrings in the back of her leg without hurting herself, because I'm not going to give her a bar full of weight and be like, okay, pull this. She's going to hurt her back and then she's out.
Right.
And, over.
You don't have to do squats to get a booty.
It's true. It's true. I know that was one thing I thought from the very beginning. I have to do squats. I love squats. I will still do squats. It doesn't matter. But, you got to find a training style that works for you, whether that's a boot camp type circuit training workout, strict bodybuilding, CrossFit. I mean, there's benefits to a lot of different stuff. You just have to learn the right form and the correct positions for, all the different exercises you're going to do. Start off slow. Don't completely go overboard no matter what. And just, kind of begin and speak with, like we said, speak with someone who's knowledgeable, who knows what they're talking about. Unfortunately, with I don't want to blame it on our society, but with Instagram and TikTok and stuff these days, that's where a lot of people get their information. And, some of it is good. Some people do know what they're talking about. But a lot of the times it's overshadowed by people who are just making something up that's more entertaining.
Right. They're trying to get the followers.
And the views.
More than help people.
True. True. So our last question for today is about abs and how you get them. Because I feel like, I'm already pretty thin. I've been this way forever. And when I work out and, use my core like you're supposed to, and during each exercise, I'm eating right, then I really kind of develop more of what I assume is a preferred look of abs. And I'm not saying my abs are the strongest. I still need to work on them, and I know when I'm not working out, I definitely don't pay attention to that. But you can't just rely on abs. Abs doesn't necessarily mean there's strength.
Right.
Behind that person who has all those abs.
Mm-hmm. And abs are made with diet more than anything. We all have abs. We all use our stomach to push and pull and
hold your body up.
Hold your body up as stabilizing muscles. So they're all there. It's just they're covered. And what I see a lot of people do is they go ham on their abs, because it's, especially women, that's like we carry our weight in our stomach and our hips and our butt because we're made to have babies. So they'll go ham on weighted exercises, the
sit-ups
and machines that do abs and that's all
twisty.
Weighted. So when you build muscle on your abs, which are they're smaller muscle groups, so they're easier to build on, but you haven't cut any of your weight, you're actually going to get frustrated because you're going to feel like your stomach is getting bigger, because your muscle is building underneath your fat. So that comes more down to diet and being in a calorie deficit. You can't spot treat fat. So you can't say I want to lose weight on my outer thighs or my inner thighs. Like that comes down to genes a lot of the time, how you lose fat. I tend to lose fat in my arms first. Like I'll look all buff, but then I don't.
Yeah.
And for women, that's one of the hardest spots because we are biologically made to hold babies. Mm-hmm. So that does gonna come down to a lot of diet. You don't have to do weighted ab exercises. Body planks and body weight kind of stuff is enough. And having a strong core helps with almost every exercise.
It's true. It's very true. And making sure, like we said with form, trying to do all the exercises correctly, you should be taught that you're going to use your core in every exercise. Every time you're bending over, every time you're sustaining weight above your shoulders or above your head, your core needs to be engaged and it needs to be a part of that exercise, because if you're not doing that, your back can go out, you can drop that weight on your head. There's, again, a million things you could do, but having that core strength and just start off, like we said, put 30 seconds on a timer, drop down into a plank. And when you find out or look up and figure out which plank position, what it is, what it looks like, what you should be doing, where you should be feeling it, start off with that and then start to up your time. Things like that, but really, really getting that core strength from the very beginning is something good to focus on. I do that with all my clients because it's just same thing. It's another foundational piece that's going to help you along the way.
the foundation holds everything up. So, and another easy way to kind of get if you're someone who sits around a lot, if you do even shoulder presses or a lot of your exercises standing up, your body has to support itself, and it usually is going to do that with the core. So you'll actually be sore in your abs if you're not used to using it that way from doing shoulder presses, just because you're stabilizing yourself and balancing yourself. So if you don't sit for a lot of the exercise, any exercise you can stand for, I would, if you want to activate your core more.
Yeah.
And it helps with balance and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it plays into a lot of different stuff. You'll start to think about it more like, oh, when I'm driving, I'm not sitting up. You know, it'll help with your posture. It'll help with a lot of different stuff.
A lot of things I've seen people have trouble with back stuff. They'll feel like their lower back is weak, and it's actually their core is too weak to kind of push them through a lot of exercises. So it's interesting.
You know, strengthening up your core can help you prevent back injuries. And, you know, we're not doctors. We're not saying you're never going to hurt your back. That's up to you and what you do. But, again, helping and having that strengthened core can help prevent it. So it can, you know, when you're lifting and things like that, and you start to learn how to lift things off the ground, because there is a certain way you're technically supposed to do it. And a lot of us don't know that, and we just bend over, you know, just kind of...
That's how we hurt our back.
Exactly. And that's how you hurt yourself, unfortunately. So really pay attention to that stuff as you're starting to look things up. But those are, I think, all our questions for today. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them down below. You can follow us both. I'm going to try...
MissWickedRed. We'll probably post it.
Yeah, we'll link it
somewhere in the video.
And then RAD_RACH is mine. And like I said, she's got a OnlyFriends. I think it's what people say. She's got a YouTube channel as well, Instagram, TikTok. I don't go on my TikTok other than to send dog videos to my sister. I mean, I don't really post anything on there, so you don't need to follow me on there. But YouTube.
IG is where we're at.
Yeah,
mostly.
IG, and then we're trying out YouTube, so we're giving it a shot. But if you want to follow, comment, share, subscribe, I think that's all of them. But yeah, we'll definitely be back for more fitness stuff, more photo shoots, you know, as we get to be let out and go do things.
Right.
We'll go ahead and document more of it. And if you guys have any suggestions of things you want to see or want to learn, we are happy to oblige. So feel free to drop a comment below. But we'll see you guys around.